Welcome back. It is so good to see you. And I want to give a shout out to my YouTube audience as well as my Spotify audience. Hi. Today I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into what getting in touch with yourself looks like and getting to know yourself looks like, because I feel as if I have said that in almost every video. So I figured we would make a video to cover that based on my experience and hopefully add some tools to your tool belt. So growing up, I feel like a lot of our preferences are molded by the people that are around us, and the people that are around us are our parents and our siblings. So a lot of our perspective comes from that place. And then when we start to go to school, we run across other people that have different experiences and different backgrounds, and they begin to help us shape our perspective of the world, realizing that maybe my family's just a little bit weird the way that they do this, and this is how everyone else does this certain thing. And in that exchange, I feel like our world view is just broadened quite a bit. I feel as if there's eras in our life when we're brought up with our parents and our siblings, and that, it's the first era. Then when we start to go to school and that starts to shape the things that we enjoy, that's a different era. When we start hanging out with friends more than we hang out with our relatives, now we have different perspective and different experiences to pull from. Then if we do go to college, then you have the college experience and more things are added to you. Even as we travel, as we move into different cities, all these different things, they just broaden our view, and they help us to understand ourselves, and they help us to shape who we are as a human being. And in this, there is more expansion of who we are, so that we recognize what we do like and what we don't like, and we begin to develop preferences for ourselves. And I feel as if this is one of the first ways that we get in touch with who we are. We build off of the preferences that are handed down to us, and we begin to form our own in those formative years. I don't care who you are. You have a favorite food. If you say you don't have a favorite food, you're lying to me. Don't be lying to me. In order to know that that was your favorite food, you had to try that food. In order to distinguish that as your favorite food, you had to try other foods. And so the same principle is true. I have to have these different experiences and try these different things in order to know what I do like and what I don't like. In order to best get in touch with ourselves, I believe that we should not be averse to new experiences. I think that that is the difference between being closed-minded and being open-minded. Example, music. Music is always the example because I love music. Fun fact if you didn't know. Growing up, I heard country music was really bad. So because everyone around me was telling me that country music was bad, I never even gave it a shot. I was like, this isn't for me based on what people are saying. People have such a negative connotation of it. What's the point of even trying? Then one day, I stumbled across this country song, and it changed everything for me. I listened to it with an open mind, and I related to the lyrics. I really enjoyed the arrangement, and it just added to me more than I would have ever realized had I been closed-minded to it. I think it's important to form our own opinions of things rather than allow other people to form our opinions for us. And that song, that artist, John Denver. John Denver is the man. If you've not listened to John Denver, treat yourself to John Denver. That man knows. Another example for me is I was raised in a fairly traditional household where girls wore nail polish, boys did not wear nail polish. And so I was raised thinking, that is the status quo. Boys cannot do this. Only girls can do this. Then one day, just like the country song, I was like, you know what? I'm going to put on nail polish, see how it feels. I'm curious. And I did. And I loved it. And I was like, whoa, this is fun. I like having color on the end of my fingers. But if I were to just listen to the ideas that were passed down to me, I would not know that about myself, that I like to have my fingernails painted occasionally. There's other times where I'm very lazy, and so they are not painted. My point of painting my fingernails is not to make a statement about anything. It's just that I like it. I think it looks cool. I feel pretty sometimes, and that's okay to feel pretty, I think it's important to try things, and if you like it, do it. There's other things that I've tried and I don't like it and I don't do it, and that's okay, but at least I tried and I have formed my own opinion. And so I think it's important for us to, as we get older, even more so, to be open to new things and trying new things just to say that you have, so that you know what you do like and you don't like. And I think that's part of the process of getting in touch with yourself. Because when I groom my face, I get a haircut, I paint my nails, like I feel like I'm at the peak of who I am. I feel clean and good and all that. As I'm sure a lot of people feel great after, they get a pedicure or a manicure. You feel like you're just on top of the world. You feel like $1,000,000. And that's how I feel when I do that. But I wouldn't know that had I not tried, and had I just, like I said, stuck with what I thought I knew. On this journey of discovering things for myself, there was a period of time where I was just a yes man. So if someone invited me to do something, if someone wanted me to try a certain food or have, an experience, I was just like, okay, let's do it. The worst thing that could happen is I figure out I don't like doing that thing, but now at least I know, and I don't have to be curious and waste my time. In doing that, I learned so much about myself, and I got to learn about the people that I share those experiences with, why they like the things that they like, why I like the things that I like, why I don't like the things that I like. But I wouldn't know that had I not stepped out of my comfort zone and just been like, okay, let's do it. I lost an afternoon trying this thing. Okay, cool. But I know now, definitively, I have formed my own opinion. I know what I like and what I don't. I think it's important to just step out and try things as you're getting to know yourself and as you're trying to find what it is that brings you the most joy. So, awesome. We've established that a lot of our initial preferences are from the people around us. And in order to learn more about ourselves, we have to kind of step out of our comfort zone and try new things and do new things to know what we do like and don't like. So let's say we found those things that we really enjoy, but now those things are just not hitting the same. What do you do then? How do you get back in touch with yourself in that regard? I feel as if for me, typically that is an indication that I'm on a path of growth or I've already grown. And so now I cannot relate to things the way that I related to them previously. That song that I listened to when I was in a certain place in life isn't speaking to me in the same way because I'm not in that place in life anymore. And that's okay. But I need to be open to listening to a different song that's going to speak to the place in life that I'm in right now. Or this food just doesn't taste the same. Okay, let's try something new. Let's have a new favorite. It's okay. Like, these things are malleable. These things can continually change, and that's okay. Because we're continually changing and we're continually growing as people, hopefully. I do not want to become a stagnant person. The moment when I feel like I have it all figured out, that is a bad day for me. Because then I'm not teachable anymore. I'm not moldable anymore. I can't possibly grow because I've established in my own mind that I know it all. And so when things aren't bringing you joy in the same way, just set them aside. It doesn't mean that they're always going to not bring you joy, but try new things. And be okay with that. Then pick up those old things and maybe there's a new context to them. And now you can enjoy those things. And now you have this other stuff that you've learned that you enjoy so much that brings you joy. Like, going after your joy and what brings joy to your life is a good thing. It's not a selfish thing. You have to have joy in order to function as a person. If all you are is sad and feeling unfulfilled all the time, that's not good for you and that's not good for anybody else. I would venture to say that my friend group is fairly diverse. Diverse in the regard of the way that we think, the way that we were brought up. And I think that that is really key for me because it teaches me a lot about myself and it exposes me to different things. I think that if I surround myself with a bunch of people that all look the same as me and think the same as me, then it's just going to become this echo chamber. And so if negativity is like what I'm putting out and everyone around me is the same exact way, we're just going to be stuck in that negativity. Everybody needs that one friend that just always seems like they're having a great day. That person that always has something nice to say to encourage you. I like to surround myself with people that are different from me just as much as people that are akin to me. Because those people have something that I don't. When I was in high school, one of my teachers said something that I felt was profound. I don't know if he just said it every year, but I thought it was profound. He said that every person that you meet knows something that you don't. So find out what that thing is. And that's the way that I've lived my life, based on him just, shooting that sentence out. And it's like every person has value. And just because they think differently than me, look different than me, have a different upbringing, it doesn't mean that they're not bringing value to the table. They bring value in their way just as much as I bring value in my way. And so surrounding yourself by people that are diverse in that regard is going to make you a more well-rounded human being, because you're able to tap into different experiences than just your own. In the process of getting to know yourself and being in touch with yourself, a vital thing is spending time by yourself. For such a long time, I felt really uncomfortable being alone. I hated it. Anytime that I didn't have someone with me, I would call someone to hang out. If I wasn't working, if I wasn't hanging out with someone, all the intrusive thoughts would come in because I wasn't allowing them any space. It became unhealthy for me to not want to be alone. You are one of the most important relationships that you have in your life. And if you treated your best friend or your partner the way that you treat yourself, do you think that person would stay? And honestly, at that point, no. I wasn't taking care of myself. I wasn't checking in with myself. I wasn't doing anything for myself. I was just constantly trying to distract myself from any intrusive thoughts or anything. And so it became this unhealthy thing to not want to be alone. But in being alone, that's when you can get in touch with yourself and you can ask yourself those hard questions. Those intrusive thoughts, maybe they need to be a little bit explored. It's okay to explore those things and flesh those things out. I think being alone gives you an opportunity to ask yourself hard questions and to process things out. It is going to be uncomfortable at first. It was the worst when no one would want to hang out or everyone was too busy and I was just like, okay, cool, what am I going to do? But in me practicing intentionality with being by myself and getting to know myself, exactly that thing happened. I got to know myself. I had to push myself to a different level where I would take myself to the movies. And I know maybe you're thinking like, dude, that sounds like the worst thing, to go to the movies by yourself. But that was where I was at, and that's what I needed to do. I wanted to see this movie, and I needed to be okay with spending the money on myself to go see a movie that I'd want to watch by myself. I started to take myself out to dinner. I love wings. And so I would take myself to Wings, and I would have wings, sit at the table by myself. And then they would ask me like, oh, is someone else joining? I'm like, no, just me. But in doing that and just being with myself and taking care of myself and treating myself to the things that I knew that I enjoyed, I was able to get in touch with myself in a deeper way than I ever could have had I just been constantly distracting myself with work and with hangouts with other people and whatever it is you fill in the blank. Going on walks with myself has been one of the best things for me, and that's what has been the most sustainable for me. I'll just walk for a certain portion of my walk with no music and just think and be okay with thinking. Whatever thoughts come into my mind, unpacking them and being okay with not having a solution in that moment. And then I'll close it out with listening to some music and walking around. And that's how I've been spending time with myself, and that's how I've been getting to know myself, because I'm allowing myself to think the thoughts I need to think, to feel the things that I need to feel, and then opening that up. Why do I feel that way? Why do I think this? There's no way this is true. This way that I'm looking at this situation doesn't make sense, but I haven't thought about it enough to realize that the way that I'm looking at this doesn't make sense. Processing things with yourself is okay and is healthy. It's okay to have that conversation with yourself in your mind. If you need to have it out loud, have it out loud. Do what you need to do, but don't just stuff things down and hope that it all turns out in the end. Bring intentionality into your relationship with yourself. If you're feeling a way about something, why do you feel a way? Sit with it. Feel what you need to feel. Don't push it down. Because like I've said in the past, if you push down the bad things, you're no longer going to be able to feel the good things. And the whole point of getting to know yourself is finding that joy, finding what brings life to you, and doing that so that you can be the best version of yourself for you. And in doing that, you're going to be the best version of yourself for everybody around you. So through my own experience and sharing experiences with others, I've determined what brings me joy and what fills my tank. Now what? Do the things that you know bring you joy. Take the time to take care of yourself. No one else is going to do it for you. No one can love you the way that you need to love you. If you have 10 minutes in your day to do something for yourself, take the 10 minutes to do it. We all have time in the day to do things that bring us joy. It's just a matter of us prioritizing ourselves. And if we don't prioritize ourselves, it's a destructive path that it leads us down. We begin to feel like we're not seen. We begin to feel bitter towards other people for not filling the needs that we are supposed to fill for ourselves. It is so unfair for me to expect of a partner or a friendship for them to fulfill the needs that I have that I'm supposed to be fulfilling for myself. I do not like the statement of in relationship, like to halves making a whole. I think it's important to be a whole person and then have another whole person. If I'm looking for half of myself in someone else, that's not my true self. And it's just going to lead me to disappointment. And in the long run, it's not going to work out. But if I am taking the time to get to know myself, to be whole, to be healthy, then I'm able to give so much more to not only myself, but to them. And if they're doing the same, then it's just going to become this awesome flow in relationship. And I think that can apply to friendships just as much as, romantic relationships. If I'm like looking for my friend to make me feel happy, that's not going to work, because maybe they're having a bad day. And now my expectation of them is to always be on, always have a good day, always be filling me up. And then I become that draining friend. And I know that none of us intend on becoming that draining friend, but if we don't take the time to be with ourselves, to get in touch with ourselves, to know what we love and what we like and what brings us joy, we become that draining friend because we're just sucking from everybody else, whatever they have. And that's just a terrible way to live when you have the ability in you to provide that for yourself and you don't need that from somebody else. And now you can be that person that helps someone else get to that place that you've gotten to. Prioritize yourself, even if you do not feel like it, even if it feels uncomfortable. I know nowadays we hear self-care, self-care, self-care. But what does self-care actually look like for you? It's going to look different from me. It's going to look different from the next person. But you're not going to know that unless you start this journey of getting to know yourself, opening yourself up to new experiences, opening yourself up to new people, opening yourself up to yourself, which is arguably the harder part. Bringing people into this process is going to do wonders for you. Those people that you trust, those friends that love you and you love them, bringing them into this process of, hey, I want to love myself better and I want to take better care of myself. These are the things that I want to do in order to do that. These are the steps I feel are necessary in order to make this happen. Putting that out there for someone who cares about you, now they can hold you accountable. Now they can help you. Now they can check in with you. Communicate. Hey, this is something new for me. It's kind of weird. I'm going to try this out. Can you check in with me in 2 weeks about it? And it's going to help you because now you have someone else that's on your side. You have someone else that's helping you out. It's just as important to bring people into your process as it is to be alone and to process things alone. I gather information from my friends in that ecosystem that I've created of helping me. And with that information, I sit with myself and I form my own opinion on whatever it is. We oftentimes just take other people's advice and run with it. And we don't realize that the advice that was given needs to be modified to fit you. But if I don't know me, then I don't know that. And so I'm trying to use someone else's advice that doesn't fit for me, and then I'm feeling more frustrated, and I'm in an even worse place than I was before. Bring people into the process, but process it with yourself. Allow people to see you. Allow you to see you. With bringing people in, I feel like it sets you up for success. If you're trying to do it all by yourself, it's not necessarily going to work out. You can get to a certain place, but that's why we have friends. That's why we have family. That's why there's people that love us. That's why we develop that ecosystem of people to help get us to places that we can't get by ourselves. Because there is no one in the world that's gotten to any measure of success in any category without people backing them up, people investing in them, whether it be with their time, finances, emotions, whatever it may be. Behind every successful human, monetarily, emotionally, whatever it may be, there's this line of people who have been their support system. And that's all that we're establishing for ourselves, is this support system so that I can get in touch with me and then I can be someone else's support system too. That is a benefit of this process. That is not the end goal of this process. The end goal is just to get in touch with you, to be the best you. I can only be the best me for me. I think when it comes to romantic relationships, we're looking for the one that's going to do the best for us, serve us in this way, that way, that way. But what if we change the perspective to, how am I going to be the best me for this person? What am I bringing to the table? How am I going to serve them well? How am I going to listen when they need me to be there when they need me to? Shifting that is going to do so much in relationship, because now it's not this selfish of taking, but if both parties are coming in to give, everyone feels taken care of. And I think that is going to be a lot more sustainable than just one person taking and the other person giving, because eventually that person that's been giving and not getting it reciprocated, they're going to get burnt out and they're going to dip out. And that's not what you want. You don't realize it until it's too far gone oftentimes. You don't recognize that, oh my gosh, I've been just taking. But if you put this into practice with yourself and you start giving and pouring into yourself, then it's so much easier to take that, copy and paste, and put it into your other relationships. Everything starts with you. If I don't treat me right, I can't treat anybody right. That's just honest. If I don't treat me correctly, I can only go on for so long where I'm giving to other people, because I'm going to run out of gas in the tank. It's so important to invest and prioritize yourself. Other side of the coin, when I came out of being uncomfortable with being alone, I went to the other side and overcorrected a bit. And now all I wanted to do was be alone. And I began to weaponize self-care in order to not go outside or be around people and just to isolate myself. And that's not healthy. It's really not. The fruit from that was just an echo chamber of my mind. Whatever I was feeling was emphasized because I was feeling it by myself, and I wasn't bringing people in for them to be like, how you're feeling isn't going to be forever. This is what's true in this situation. Is there any way that I can help you with where you are? Can I just be with you? I didn't have that because I was isolating myself. And I would just sit and stew in my negativity and get frustrated because I wasn't feeling seen, but I wasn't allowing anybody to see me because I was isolating myself from everybody else and saying that I was doing self-care when I was just at home looking at a wall and being depressed. I created a cycle for myself, and in my overcorrection, it became more of a negative than a positive. And I think that had I brought people into my process of correcting me being uncomfortable with being alone, let them into that process in a deeper way, then potentially I could have saved myself from a lot of grief. But I was like, oh, I have this figured out. I got it. I'm just going to chill by myself. I don't need anybody else. Forget everybody else. It's good. And I became comfortable in that. And it was to my detriment. It was not a good thing. It was literally the opposite of what I needed. I think it is just as important to spend time with yourself as it is to spend time with other people. Now, you are going to have to determine what that ratio looks like. For me, I tend to enjoy, I would say 60% of my time to myself, and 40% I enjoy spending with other people. Prior to understanding that, it was 90% of my time was spent alone, and maybe 10% was spent with other people, but it was just because we were at work together. I would just go home and be alone, and it just wasn't a healthy way for me to live. So understanding the ratio of how much you need to let other people in and how much you need to spend time with yourself is going to be very important, but you're not going to be able to know that unless you take the time to get to know that. That is what is going to be the most sustainable thing for you. That's why it's key to form new experiences with yourself and to form new experiences with other people so that you can begin to understand what that ratio is for you. There is not a formula that is going to fit every human being. Every human being is different. You are different than me. You have to determine that ratio. The only way to determine that ratio is by being a little bit uncomfortable for a little bit. Maybe you hang out with too many people for too long. But now you know, okay, I need to reel it back a little bit. I need some me time. Be okay with being in that process. You're learning about yourself. As we're getting older and as we're growing, you have to continue to get to know yourself because you're changing as a person. And that's okay. It's okay to grow. That is a good thing. We should not be so averse to change. Change is a good thing. Growing is a good thing. But being intentional with your relationship with yourself is going to be key with being sustainable in that process. If things that were bringing you joy before aren't bringing you joy like they used to, change your surroundings. If you are set on this one routine and you're spending all this time in one place, change it up. Sometimes taking yourself out of a context and putting yourself in a new context helps you to see things a lot more clearly. And it helps you to realize solutions to problems, realize things about yourself. When you're put into situations, the way that you respond to certain things, you're like, whoa, I didn't realize I would respond that way, but I did. By changing your surroundings, you're helping yourself to break that routine and break that cycle of joy being robbed of you. Going on walks, leaving your phone behind, putting your phone on Do Not Disturb, that's okay. Even if it's the 10 minutes, if it's longer, whatever it is that you need, ask the question to yourself, what do I need? And then do that. Follow through. Think about it this way. A lot of popular songs, they'll have like a stripped down version where it's acoustic and vocal. And I find for myself that when I listen to that acoustic stripped down version of the song, different aspects are highlighted to me than they were when the full production was there. I'm hearing their lyrics in a different way and they're hitting different. I'm hearing certain chord progression in a different way on a different instrument and it hits different. And so taking that time to have that stripped and to listen to it, now when I go back to the song, I'm hearing it in a whole different way. The context is completely changed because, oh my gosh, this lyric hit so hard. And now with all the production behind it, it hits even harder. But listening to it stripped is helping me to enhance that and to just take time. And I think that sometimes we just need to strip down to the bones a little bit in our life. Put the phone down. Put whatever it is down that we're using to just occupy our mind instead of being okay with being alone with our thoughts. By being alone with my thoughts, I'm able to actually figure out what's happening, diagnose things that are going on, recognize if I need help, and then I can reach out to people and get help. But if I'm just distracting myself all the time, I always have music going. I'm always watching TV. I'm always playing video games. I'm always on social media. I'm not going to know that because I'm just trying to pass by almost until I die. I don't think that we realize that that's what we're doing, but that's what we're doing. We're just biding time until we die or until something changes, but we're not actively seeking out that change. Being can be difficult when we're not accustomed to it. But if we push past that initial uncomfortability and we keep doing it and create a discipline of being, it's not going to be this huge process every single time where I have to lock myself in my room with the lights off in order to get in touch with myself. We can begin to recognize how we're feeling a lot quicker by creating this discipline. A very helpful exercise that I have implemented in my life for a few years now is checking in right when I wake up. First thing I do in my mind before I grab my phone, before I get up out of bed to start getting ready, is I ask the question, how am I feeling physically and how am I feeling mentally? Typically, I am hungry, so that is how I'm feeling physically. So by knowing that, okay, what can I do to fix this and to meet this need? Okay, eat, have a snack, something, have some water. Great. Now that I've done that, okay, how am I feeling physically? I feel fine. I feel good. How am I feeling mentally? Cool. I feel optimistic today, or I feel a different way. Checking in with myself and knowing how I feel right off the bat helps me to take charge of my day rather than my day taking charge of me. So as the day progresses, when I do have time alone, I'm driving home from work and I'm in the car and I'm decompressing, what I'm doing is I'm asking myself, okay, how are you feeling? Okay, you're kind of feeling bummed out. Why are you feeling bummed out? Oh, this happened at work, or this was said to me. Okay, what do I need to feel in this moment? It's okay to feel bummed. Okay, cool. And then I feel bummed. And then I leave that there. If there's more to it, then I'll talk to someone about it and I'll bring someone into that process. But just as much as you would ask the people around you that you care about how they're feeling and what's going on in their life, we need to do that for ourselves. I think once a day should be the minimum when you wake up. I'll ask myself that before I go to bed too. I typically will do it 3 times a day. And it's become so normal for me that that's just what my brain is. I don't have to sit there and be like, how am I feeling? My brain just like, okay, I'm feeling this way. I'm feeling that way. This is my need. And then my brain knows that if it communicates a need to me, I'm going to fulfill it because we've created that relationship, me and my brain. And so you're just creating this relationship with yourself, and you're beginning to trust yourself, and you're beginning to rely on yourself and be trustworthy when your brain is communicating things that it needs, rather than it just shoving it down and shutting down, and then you having such a hard time understanding what it is that's even going on. All of us have time to do this. The question is, are you a priority to yourself? Once you become a priority to yourself, you bring yourself to a place of a fuller state of being. And from that fuller state of being, you're able to give more in your relationships. You're able to give more to yourself. Everything starts with you. I will say that over and over because it is true. If I don't take care of me, I can't take care of anybody else. Not for a long time, at least. So in the vein of taking care of myself, at least once a year, Big Bad 2020 made this a little bit harder, but at least once a year, I take a trip by myself, somewhere that I haven't been, so that I can take the time to get in touch with myself and to give myself a new experience. My intention behind the trip is exactly that, just to think and feel and be in a different context, breaking the routine for myself. And typically in that, I just have this really enlightening time. And coming back from those trips, the problems that were there when I left, they may still be there, but the way that I'm approaching them is different. The way that they're affecting me is different. Nothing changed on that end, but things changed in me because I took myself out of that context and I took the time to prioritize myself. And so now I'm able to reapproach it from a place of being full rather than trying to figure stuff out on half empty. And that's what works for me. That may not work for you. You have to figure out what works for you. But it's important to take the time to go through the process to know that. I wouldn't know that unless I went through a process of going to the movie theater alone, having chicken wings alone, and it all progressed into going on trips by myself. It's little baby steps that lead into bigger things. And you have to recognize that life is a journey. It is not about the destination. Cliches are cliche for a reason, because sometimes they are true. Be okay with the journey that you're on. Take the steps that you feel like you can accomplish. Bring people into that process to help you along the way. The last couple weeks, I had to do exactly what I'm saying. I was feeling low. I was feeling like doing video stuff was pointless. I was feeling extremely hopeless. I was feeling uncreative. I was just not in a good space. And I had to be open and vulnerable with people around me that I trust and I love and tell them, hey, I feel this way. Now, I know those things aren't true, but sometimes you need other people to remind you. And that's exactly what I needed. I shared what I needed to share. The people that I shared with listened to what I had to say. They asked what I needed. And because I had sat with myself and felt those things, I knew that I needed encouragement. And so I said, I need encouragement. And that's exactly what they gave me. Then with that encouragement, I went back with myself and I sat with it. And I was like, these things are true. This is what other people see about me. What am I missing in between? Now, I think that the temptation in the past would be just to take what people are saying and then just start running with it. But I can only run off of the fuel of other people for so long. I had to make that my own fuel. I had to recognize that these things are true about myself in order to completely fill up my tank. So not only did I take the time to feel what I needed to feel, I brought people into the process, and then I took all of that and pushed something else out. And now I feel more motivated than ever. I feel great. I feel fantastic. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to feel this way again, but now I've created a precedent. So moving forward, it's not going to be this dramatic process where I'm feeling this way for 2 weeks straight because I'm nervous to share about how I'm feeling. I know that these people that are in my life that love me, I can trust them and I can share this, and they're not going to judge me for feeling away. I can be honest, and I allow them to see me, and then I feel seen. And now I'm not going through this long, drawn-out process that I never needed to go through that just has more pain than necessary. Now I have that precedent set. I can just jump in and be like, okay, this is what worked last time. This is what didn't work so well for me last time. Let's reapproach this. And I can continue to grow and continue to be, and then it becomes second nature to me because I'm learning this stuff. I'm figuring it out. And this is essentially my diary of me learning things right now. I had to dethrone discouragement and replace it with encouragement. It took effort on my end in all the ways that I shared. But because I love myself enough, I'm worth the effort. And you need to come to that place that you're worth the effort. You're not some side character in your life that gets killed off and doesn't matter. You're important. You need to be important to yourself, just like I'm important to myself. Because me recognizing that puts me in a position to be able to be the best me and for everybody else. And same for you. All in all, be open to learning about yourself. Be open to new experiences. Give yourself the opportunity to find your joy and do what makes you feel alive. Spend time with yourself. Treat yourself. Bring people into your process. Change up the routine if it's beginning to feel dull. Recontextualize things. We are both in this journey together, and we're going to be okay. In the process, we are going to become better humans. I believe in me, and I believe in you. If you did end up making it to the end of the video, I appreciate you, and I'm actually going to give you 7 gold stars. Additionally, I am told to tell you to like and subscribe, and one up that, comment. I want to hear from you. What are ways that you've gotten to know yourself? What are ways that you stay in touch with yourself? I really want to hear what worked for you, what hasn't worked for you, Like I said in the last video, I just want to build a community where we're building each other up. So let me know. And until next time,